Have you ever noticed this? The people who hurt you the most are often the ones who claim they care about you. You explain how they made you feel. You choose your words carefully. You stay calm. You stay respectful. And somehow, you walk away doubting your own memory. If you're between 15 and 25, this probably isn't random. Over the last few weeks, we've seen a clear pattern in the comments under our videos. The people who describe themselves as empathetic, emotionally aware, highly sensitive, are also the ones reporting the deepest emotional damage. You talk about partners who twist reality until you question what actually happened. Friends who use your most vulnerable secrets against you the moment there's conflict. Family members who push you to your breaking point and then point at your reaction as proof that you are the problem. And you keep asking the same painful questions. Why do they do this? Why don't they care how much they hurt me? We often label these people as toxic, manipulative, or difficult. But psychology has a far more precise, clinical framework for this pattern. It's called the dark TETRAD of personality. And today, we're going to look at what's actually happening inside their minds, because once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself. When you deal with a manipulative person, there's one dangerous mistake almost everyone makes. You assume they are like you. You assume that if you explain your pain clearly enough, they will feel it and they will stop. But research shows their psychological hardware is fundamentally different. Psychologists identify 4 traits that make up the dark tetrad. The first is narcissism. Narcissism is deceptive because it often looks like confidence. These individuals are usually charismatic, outgoing, and socially magnetic. They are often the most interesting person in the room. But that confidence is a shell. Underneath it is an extremely fragile ego. The moment they feel criticized or even ignored, the mask collapses. And what comes out is not sadness, it is rage. The second trait is Machiavellianism. These are the cold strategists. Unlike narcissists who react emotionally, Machiavellians plan, they can wait weeks or months to execute a move. They do not see relationships as emotional bonds, but as systems to be optimized. To them, people are chess pieces. And morality is optional. If lying benefits them, they will lie without hesitation. If manipulating you secures their position, they will not lose sleep over it. The third trait is psychopathy. This is characterized by high impulsivity and a profound lack of fear or remorse. These individuals do not have the internal brakes that stop most people from harming others. Their brains simply do not respond to threat the same way. Their amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear, is underactive. They do not feel risk the way you do, so they chase stimulation regardless of the damage it causes. The fourth trait, added more recently, is everyday sadism. This is the most disturbing one. It explains cruelty that seems pointless, the trolling, the humiliation, the small, unnecessary acts of harm. For a sadist, your suffering is the reward. Watching you break releases dopamine in their brain. They hurt you because it feels good. At this point, most empathetic people ask the same question. Are they born this way or made this way? This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Some of these traits are not trauma responses. They are biological. Studies in behavioral genetics and twin research show that psychopathy has a strong hereditary component. Up to 70% of the variation may be genetic. These individuals did not learn to be fearless. They were wired that way. Machiavellianism, on the other hand, is often learned. It develops in cold, unstable, or unpredictable environments, where trust is dangerous and manipulation is survival. Together, Genetics and environment form a personality structure that is extremely resistant to change. So here's the question that haunts most victims. How can they know exactly how to hurt me if they do not have empathy? The answer lies in something called empathy dissociation. Empathy is not one single ability. It has two parts. Cognitive empathy is the ability to understand what someone else is feeling. It lets you read a room, predict reactions, and identify emotional weak points. Affective empathy is the ability to feel what someone else feels. It is what makes you wince when someone else is in pain. Most manipulative individuals have extremely high cognitive empathy and severely deficient affective empathy. They know you are hurting. They just do not feel it. Brain imaging studies show that in people with high psychopathic traits, the empathy network can be switched off by default. Here is the terrifying part. They can turn it on when it benefits them. During the love bombing phase, they flip the switch. They mirror you. They seem emotionally present. They feel like home. But it is a performance. Once you are attached, the switch goes off. Your emotions are no longer something to connect with. They are data to control you. They did not choose you by accident. Predators scan for signals. High empathy, high agreeableness, a tendency to forgive, a habit of seeing the good in others. If you are uncomfortable taking up space, if asserting your needs makes you anxious, you are the perfect target. They test you early. A small boundary violation, a subtle disrespect. If you explain it away, if you apologize for their behavior, you pass the test. And then the trap closes. They use a mechanism called intermittent reinforcement, the most powerful addiction system known to psychology. If they were cruel all the time, you would leave. So they are not. They give you moments of warmth followed by confusion, withdrawal, or cruelty. Your nervous system becomes addicted to unpredictability. You stay hypervigilant, constantly trying to get back the version of them that felt safe. This is not love. It is a trauma bond. Then comes gaslighting. Not just lying, but the systematic destruction of your perspective. They deny events you remember clearly. They rewrite conversations. They tell you you are too sensitive, too dramatic, imagining things. Over time, this causes measurable changes in the brain. Chronic emotional abuse shrinks the hippocampus, the center for memory and context. It enlarges the amygdala, locking you into constant fight or flight. You feel foggy, anxious, unable to think clearly enough to leave. That is not weakness. That is neurobiology. At some point, a strange thought may cross your mind. I wish I could be that cold. Society often rewards these traits: fearless dominance, emotional detachment, control. It looks like a superpower. But there is a cost no one talks about. They are stuck on what psychologists call a hedonic treadmill, chasing stronger and stronger stimulation, just to feel something. Power, conquest, risk. They cannot access peace. They cannot experience deep connection. They cannot feel the quiet joy that comes from trust or safety. They live in a relational desert. Every connection is a transaction. There is a phrase in psychology that captures this perfectly. They know the words, but not the music. So what do you do with this information? You stop trying to solve a hardware problem with software. You are playing for connection. They are playing for control. Understanding this breaks the spell. When they rage, see narcissistic injury. When they lie, see Machiavellian strategy. When they hurt you and smile, see sadistic reward. Their behavior says nothing about your worth. You were targeted not because you are weak, but because you have something they lack, and that light belongs to you. This video was the diagnosis. Next, we will talk about the exit. How people use strategies like gray rock, and how trauma bonds are actually broken. For now, breathe. You see the truth, and the truth is the beginning of freedom. I will see you in the next one.